Hey you, today's all about cash envelopes. I'm going to show you how to make your own DIY laminated cash envelopes. If you're ready to implement the cash envelope system for your budget and you want to make your own envelopes, then stay tuned. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, Skinny, where we focus on the steps to help you live a healthy, wealthy, and skinny life. I'm Sean, and if you are ready to start thriving and not just surviving, go ahead and hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit the bell icon so you get a notification every week when I drop a new video. And be sure to stay until the very end because, as always, I've got something special for you. Let's jump right into making some laminated cash envelopes. I'm going to move over to my work table so I can walk you through it step by step. Okay, we're at my work table. Before we get started, let's go over the items you're going to need to make your cash envelopes. You're going to need a laminator, and I got my laminator off of Amazon, and I will leave a link to it in the description. You're going to need a cutter. I got my cutter, I believe, from Michael's or Joann's or one of those stores like that, but you can also get a cutter from Amazon as well, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. I'm going to use a plain ruler, a pencil for my markings. I'm going to have some scissors handy for whatever I need them for, and a little score work came with my cutter, so I might use it as well, but this is optional. Next, you're going to need some laminating paper. It looks like this. I got this from Amazon as well. It came in packs of 100 or 50. I'll leave a link to this in the description. And then you're going to need whatever cardstock you're going to use. So mine says Zodiac. It's a pretty purple galaxy type pattern, but you can use anything you want. And it usually comes in a book like this, or you can buy individual sheets, whatever you want to use to get whatever kind of designs or patterns you want. So let's get started. So I've pulled my first sheet out of my book, and I cut off the little circle that was on top of it. And now we're going to start with our first measurement, and we want to measure 6 inches. Now my paper is 12 by 12, so I can get 2 cash envelopes out of 1 sheet of paper. You may not be able to get 2. It's really just going to depend on the size of your paper, but your first measurement is going to be 6 inches. So let's start with that. All right, so I'm going to mark here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut on that line. Oh, I always do that. I'm going to move my laminator out of the way. I'm also going to turn it on so it's ready for when we get ready to go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to line this up to my cut line. Also going to check my measurement on my cutter. It's one thing that I really like about this cutter. It allows me to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my cut. All right, so now I have 2 sheets that are 6 inches. Next, I'm going to measure out my 7 inches for the long length of the envelope. So, do that. Mark, and I'll go ahead and mark both sheets so I can cut them both. I'm going to turn a little bit just to make sure I'm getting it right. All right, so our first cut was 6 inches, second cut 7. So let's go ahead and cut these. First, this is going to be scrap, and make sure it's straight. And now I have my 2 pieces for 2 envelopes. Next, we are going to go ahead and fold these and laminate them. I like to make my envelopes in batches of 3s because I can get 3 in a laminating sheet. So I have another one that's already cut, so we're going to use this one as well. So let's go ahead and start folding these. And you want to make sure you're folding them the 7 inches way across the top. And we're just going to make sure our edges match, and then I'm just going to use this scorer to bend it. Again, you can use your hand or whatever you have to make the creases. This one. Gonna make sure we are matching up. Got 2. And 3. Okay, so now we've got our 3 envelopes. And now let's move on to laminating. Laminator is still getting ready, but we'll go ahead and prep. So I like to use my cutter to get ready to laminate just because it keeps everything straight for me, but you definitely do not have to do this. So what you want to do is open up your laminating sheet. Now you can laminate this way, meaning put your envelopes in like this. Or you can laminate this way, and this is the way that I normally like to do it. So let's move these out of the way. Open this back up. And I usually make sure it's straight. And then I always line the tops of my envelopes the same way, so I can remember where they are, because it's going to matter when I start to cut them after I laminate them. So I'm going to put the first one in, and I'm using these grid lines on this cutter to kind of help me keep the envelope straight. And do my second one. And then my third one, I point the opening of the envelope facing in, and I just do it that way every time so I know which way my openings are. Okay, so now you see I have all 3 in here, and it's time for me to laminate. Just pull this back into view, and my green light is telling me that I'm ready. So now I'm going to feed this in, and you always feed the closed end of the laminating paper in first, and that's just to keep you from having any bubbles. And you'll just feed till you feel it catch, and it'll start flowing in. I am going to laminate these 2 times. I laminate my first time while it's on this big sheet, and then I laminate a second time after I've got each one of the envelopes cut separately, just to make sure it seals good. Okay, so now we're all laminated. What I like to do is mark my bottoms so I know how I did this. This was the closed end, these are my tops, and just so I don't mess up and forget, I like to mark my bottoms. So I'm going to cut a snippet off the bottom of this side. I know that's the bottom of these envelopes, and I'm going to, or this envelope, and I'm going to cut a little snippet on the bottom of this one. So that just helps me in case I get things a little mixed up. Okay, so now we're going to cut these out. You're gonna need this again, so I'm just gonna push it over to the side. And let's get these cut out. So the first one I'm going to cut is this side one, and I'm going to cut on my top edge. So here, I'm going to line the top edge of this at my cut line on my cutter, because this is the part of the envelope that needs to open. So I do not need a seal here. And I'm basically just going to line this up. I'm going to hold this firm so it doesn't move around, and then cut. All right. So I've got my first cut. This is, and you can see that no seal, and this envelope opens. Okay, so first envelope. And then now I have this one. I know that this is my bottom. I know my tops are here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. I put the tops of these on the cut line. Hold it firm so it doesn't move. Okay, here's my first one. And my second one. Okay, and I always check them. So this one looks good. It opens. So you can put your cash in. And this one, it opens. So we're good with that. Now we're going to cut the borders around the envelopes. I like to make sure my borders are the same on all sides. So I use the cutter to do this, but you can also use your scissors to do this if you're making these for yourself, and it really doesn't, matter if they're all identical. So I use this 1/8 or 1/8 of an inch line on my cutter when I do my borders, so they all come out the same. So I'm just going to line my cardstock on that line in this cutter. You can use whichever line you want on your cutter, and then take that off. I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this other side. So now you can see I've got this one done, and all of the borders are the same with the opening at the top. So let's do our other two. So now we have them all cut out. I'm going to send them back through the laminator. So we are done with this. Just move out of the way. Pull the laminator back in. And we just want to make sure these get a good seal on them. Okay, now as you can see here, the edges on these are really pointy and square. So I like to round my edges. You can do that with scissors, but I use this tool that came with my laminator. It gives me really clear edges, or really cute curved edges, and they're all the same. So I'm going to make sure I'm cutting on the bottom edge. I do not round the corners at the top because I don't want to weaken the envelope. So I'm just going to curve off these bottom edges with this tool. You can see it gives me a really nice curve. Make sure I'm on the bottom edge. And this one. And there you have it. You've got 3 cash envelopes, and they'll fit your cash and any tracker that you have perfectly. Because you made it this far, I want to give you a free gift. I'm going to give you a discount code, and you can get some free budgeting labels for your cash envelopes from the HWS Shop. This freebie is available while supplies last, and you will be responsible for shipping, but I promise you it won't be that much. But before you do that, click on the video right below me to watch the next video.